Answer to this one is 5. Answer on this one should be -2.
Library, 2013-14.
For this one, you have to put a 0 in for y, which means you're going to move the -half x over to the left-hand side and make it +1/2 x equals 8. You're going to divide 8 by 1/2. The answer should be 16. To find the y-intercept for this, it's already in slope-intercept form. The answer is -3. You must read the question. Just because the last question was the y-intercept, it does not mean this one will be too, especially when it gives you the direction at the top. So to find the x-intercept, you put 0 in for y, move this to the left, change the sign, and then divide by 2 to get a -6. For this one, we have 8 here and 6 with homework, so that's 75%. If you have credit for your homework, pick a number from 1 to 20. The winning numbers are going to be 2, 4, 7, 11, 20. Before the homework answers, here's a multiple choice. Block, letter, only. You have to find the y-intercept, or the x-intercept, so put a 0 in for the y, and move this to the left, change the sign. Set it equal to 12, divide 12 by 2/3, which is the same thing as 12 over 1 times 3 over 2. That'll give you an answer of 18, which is D. Here are the homework answers. The 4 lines you were given were just that, and in the directions on the homework it said lines. X equals 2 is a line. X equals -2 is a line. X equals 6 is a line. Those are both vertical lines. Y equals 5 and Y equals -4 are horizontal lines. We went over that. It was on a test. Those are not points. The directions told you it was a line. Some of you went and put points on the y-axis and the x-axis and then created like a diamond figure. That's not what it is. Clearly this creates a box and you have to find the area. The area of a box is length times width. So you have 8 boxes here, 9 boxes there, multiply them together and get 72. Each answer on this is worth 2.5 points. You get 2.5 points per answer. The second one should have given you a box that looks like this. It's 15 by 12 and it's 180. The third one is 11 by 12 and it's 132. And the fourth one is 42. It is 6 by 7. Here are the A and A plus tests from Friday. On first period, we had McDame and Johnson with an A plus each, and Ruark with a perfect 1100, high score of the entire day. The first period average was 632, so even with a lot of high scores, some of the really low ones will drag down the average. Fourth period, the high score was 1067, that was Carver, and Johnson also had an A plus. Hamilton and Malone had A pluses, and Malone had the high score for fourth period. And Clark had an A plus. Average score was 629 for that class. Fifth period, Perry and Hammond. Hammond had a perfect paper. She also had a high score for the whole day. Baldridge and Spradlin had A pluses. Blizzard and Armstrong had A's. And the average score was 717 for 5th period. Alright, here's the test review. Alright, here's the new objective. Create equations that describe numbers or relationships. So essentially today what you're going to do is you're going to be given two different equations in standard form. And what you have to do is solve using those two equations for x and y. Here's a pre-lesson review. In these problems, you're going to have a situation where you have to look at two numbers. For instance, -1 and +4. What is the lowest positive number that you could change both of those into? What's the lowest positive number that you could multiply each of those in order to get that number? Think of it as a least common denominator. You can't multiply anything by 4 to get 2 other than a half. It's got to be in an integer. I need to multiply... No, you can't multiply 4 by an integer to get 1. What's the least common denominator? Just forget about negatives for right now. What's the least common denominator between 1 and 4? 4, right. So what would I do to -1? What would I multiply -1 by to get a +4? -4, right. And what would I multiply 4 by to get a +4? 1. That's it. 2 and 3. What's the lowest number that both 2 and 3 will go into?
1.
3 will not go into 2. It's 2 and 3. What's the... Think of the least common denominator of 2 and 3.
4.
Not 12. 3 will not go into 4 evenly. It's 6, right. So what do you multiply 2 by to get 6? And what do you multiply 3 by to get 6? What's the lowest number that both 3 and 5 will go into? 15. What do I multiply -3 by to get a +15? -5. What about 5? 3. What's the lowest number that 6 and 2 will go into? 6 will not go into 3. 6, right. What do I multiply -6 by to get a +6? -1. What do I multiply -2 by to get a +6? -3. The lowest number that both 5 and 2 will go into. What do I multiply 5 by to get 10?
2.
What do I multiply -2 by to get 10?
-5.
What's the lowest number that 1 and 2 will go into? 2. What do I multiply -1 by? -2. And what about 2? 4 and 4. What's the lowest number they both go into? 4. 4 will not go into 2 evenly. What do I multiply 4 by? 1. They both are multiplied by 1. Lowest number 6 and 2 will go into? 6. What do I multiply -6 by? -1 and -2? -3. The lowest number 4 and -8 will go into? 8. What do I multiply 4 by? And -8? -1. -8 times -4 would be 32. Lowest number that 10 and 2 will go into? 10. What do I multiply 10 by? You don't multiply 10 by 5. 1. What do I multiply 2 by? Alright, here's the first example. In this example, you're going to look at the numbers out here on the left. That's what we just practiced. What is the lowest number that 8 and 9 will go into? Huh? No, the lowest number that both 8 and 9 will divide into evenly. 72 is right. So I'm going to change those 8s and 9s into 72. What would I have to multiply this 8 by up here to get a 72? 9. So what I multiply that by, I multiply the entire equation by. What would I have to multiply 9 by to get 72? 8. So I have to multiply the entire equation by 8. So we're going to do that all the way through. On the first part, on the first equation, multiply through here by 9. So 8 times 9 is 72. 9 times 3 is 27. And 9 times 104, a negative 104, is going to be a negative 936. Now move to the second equation and multiply through by 8. So that would give you 72x minus 16y. And then negative 74 times 8 is a negative 592. The purpose for having two positive 72s here is that we're going to subtract these equations. When you subtract 72x and 72x, what do you get? 0. So they just cancel out. Now you have to have 27 minus a negative 16. 27 minus a negative 16 is 43. So that's 43y. Now move to this one. Negative 936 minus a negative 592. Negative 936 minus a negative 592. What does it come out to be?
Negative 344.
Negative 344, right. Now to solve for y, what do I have to do?
Divided 2. Multiply.
Divide by 43. So divide negative 344 by 43, and what do you get? Negative 8. So you have one of your solutions right there. Y equals a negative 8. So you're halfway finished. To solve for x, you have a choice. You can take two different paths. You can plug in the negative 8 you just found in for y there in this equation, or there for this equation. Whichever equation you think is easier, that's the one you can plug it into. I'm going to choose this one up here. So I'm going to move everything to the left just a little bit, or lower it down so I can still read. I'm going to choose the bottom one, and that's 9x minus 2 times y, but we found y to be negative 8. And this will be equal to negative 74. So I'll do 9x plus 16 equals negative 74. So move that 16 to the right and make it minus 16. So negative 74 minus 16 is a negative 90. And divide the negative 90 by 9 to get an answer of negative 10 for x. So you would present your final answer as a point. X is negative 10 and y is negative 8. Alright, here's example 2. Now you have negative 9 and 6. Negative 9 and 6. What's the lowest number that 9 and 6 will both go into?
3.
9 and 6 will not go into 3. You're making Mick Dame laugh herself silly over there. 18 is the lowest number that both 9 and 6 will go into.
Lowest number.
Yes. You have to think of their multiples like this. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and then for 9 it's 9, 18, 27, 36, and so on. What's the lowest number they both have in common? 18. There we go.
Okay, so you don't go down.
Yeah, you cannot go below any numbers that you have presented to you, because then you would have fractions. Although that is possible, we are not going to do that. That would get nasty. Okay, so it's 18. What do I multiply negative 9 by to get a positive 18? Negative 2. And what do I multiply 6 by to get a positive 18? 3. So you have to do that. Multiply the entire first equation by negative 2. When you do that, you get a positive 18, x minus 2y equals 140. And then for the second one, you have to multiply all the way through by 3. When you do that, that's 18x minus 21y equals 34 times 3, which should be 102. So now that you have the same numbers here and here, you can subtract to cancel them out. Subtract both equations. So 18x minus 18x is 0, so those are canceled out. But now you have negative 2y minus a negative 21y. Negative 2y minus a negative 21y is what?
19.
It's 19. Negative 2 minus a negative 21 is 19. And then you have 140 minus 102. That's going to be 38. So what's the value of y? 2, yeah. 38 divided by 19 is 2. We're going to use the second one to solve for x. And we found that y equals 2, so we're plugging that into the second equation. So 6x minus 14 equals 34. Move the minus 14 to the right, make it plus 14. You'll end up with a 48, and when you divide 48 by 6, you will get an answer of 8. How do we express the final answer?
Make it like exactly so it'll be 8 and 2.
8, 2, right. Answer is 8, 2. What's the lowest number that both numbers will go into?
12.
12. What do I multiply 4 by?
3.
And 6?
2.
What's the lowest number 3 and 8 will go into?
16. 16.
24. 3 does not go into 16.
It doesn't?
What do I multiply negative 3 by to get 24? Negative 8. And what about 8? 5 and negative 1. What's the lowest positive number they go into?
5.
So I'd have to multiply by what?
1.
1 and negative 5. Here's a speed problem. It goes to the first 4. Alright, for this problem you have x and 2x is 3x, plus 6x is 9x. 3 minus 5 is a negative 2. Bartley slapping his head. Now we're going to have 9x equals 22 plus 2, which is going to give us a 24. So 24 over 9, you have to reduce that to 8 over 3, which goes down to 2 and 2/3. This one is for everybody. Alright, for this answer we have 1x, 2x, 4x. And then 1 and 3 is 4, plus 6 is 10. So 4x would equal 50 minus 10, And 50 minus 10 is 40. So x equals 10. All right. Here you go. Before you snap a picture of the homework, before you come up for the homework picture, here are some hints you might want to write down. Here's a hint. For problem number 6, you have negative 4 and 4. What's the lowest number 4 and 4 go into? 4. Do I have to do anything to this one?
No, sir.
No, you can just leave that alone because you'd be multiplying by 1. So this one I would multiply by what? Negative 1. Yes, negative 1.